So, something I think a lot of people forget sometimes is that behind every raid account is a real person. And, some of them are younger, some of them work full time, some are married, some have families, you know, people are, dealing with stress or just being exhausted or depression or and sometimes they'll even have things going on like outside the game that like other players like clanmates and stuff like may never ever even know about. And because raid is built literally around like timers and events and energy and just a daily grind, and you constantly got to be progressing and all that. It can sometimes, like, I don't know, sometimes it starts to feel like you always need to keep up. You always have to be online to keep following up with everything involved. And like, always checking the clock because you have to be back online for clan boss, to not waste your keys and keep them on a schedule. That can't just be me. But I think it's important to remember that raid is supposed to fit into your life, not replace it. And sometimes people are just gonna disappear for a bit, like log off the game, for a little while for different reasons, and maybe sometimes work is suddenly like really busy and overwhelming, or maybe life itself just in general, you just have a lot of things going on, or maybe you're just mentally exhausted. That's not uncommon. Maybe something serious, maybe something bad happened, and sometimes you just don't feel like gaming, period, for a little while. And that's fine. That's okay. Honestly, I think more people need to hear that. And I don't want to like make this seem like games don't matter, because they do. Like community, in the game like matters, friends in the game, that matters, and distraction sometimes, just being distracted from your own brain sometimes, and the things going on, that'll matter. Routine stuff, doing like a daily routine will matter. Sometimes just logging in and talking to the people in your clan, it'll help when your outside life is not so great, and things are kind of hard. And honestly, that's one of the reasons a lot of people will play games in the first place. But there's also times where like your real life, like outside the game, just need to pay more attention to it, and when that happens, it's perfectly fine for the game to become less important for a little while. Not forever, but just give yourself some time to like step away and take care of whatever it is you need to deal with. And I think one of the hardest parts about a game like Raid is the feeling like you're gonna fall behind if you step away, like even for like a day. And it's because like there's just always something happening. There's always another event, another fusion, something like stuff to farm, and because of that, like people sometimes will just force themselves to log in, like even when they're exhausted. And eventually, if you keep doing that, like something that's supposed to be like fun and enjoyable, it's a game, but eventually it'll just start to feel more like, like another pressure, like another obligation or job, and over time, that's just going to become exhausting. And like recently I had two friends, completely opposite situations, need to take a little time, or maybe not be as active. And one of them, and this is all in the same week, like one of them said that they had got a new job and it was just really busy. It was, I think their exact words were like, it's crazy, or something like that. And so they just weren't sure if they were going to be that active for a little while, and then in the exact same week, another friend said that they lost their job and that they were just down, feeling down, and just really didn't feel like playing any kind of games, and both of those are completely reasonable, like, and then for me, like, it helps, like, at the end of the day, whether it was a shitty day or a good day, either or, it doesn't matter. Like, for me, hopping on the game and just going through my dailies, or whatever it is, see who's online, see what's going on in chat, whatever, and hop into the Discord we got for the game, and it's relaxing, for me, and like, one thing though that I've learned over time that everybody needs to just learn is that the game's like still gonna be here. Like, your account's still gonna be here, your clanmates are still gonna be here, and most reasonable people would like understand that your real life is going to come first sometimes, like the people in your clan. Like, if you have to take a step away, I mean, obviously let them know. Don't just dip out for 3 weeks, because they might think you quit and they might kick you. So I mean, if when possible, like, let them know. Just kind of fill them in, be like, hey man, you don't even have to be specific, just let them know, like, hey, I got some crazy shit going on, I'm probably not going to be active for like a week or two, and most, like I said, most reasonable people are gonna say, you know okay, well, take care of yourself and we'll be here, so and honestly, like, sometimes, like, stepping away for a bit is like exactly what lets you come back, and after you've dealt with whatever you had to deal with, and it's like when you come back, you enjoy the game again. Like, you're getting stressed and you're just like, oh, I need to just take a break. And when you come back, it's just more of a, okay, where were we? And because, like, burnout doesn't, it's not just like a work thing. It can happen like in games as well. A lot of people can confirm that. And I think, like, I don't know, the balance, like, is going to look different for everybody. Like sometimes it's going to mean like just playing casually for a little while, or just coming in and doing the dailies, and sometimes it's going to be like a full on break. Like, sometimes you just actually have to like take a step away for a little while, and then that's fine too. And then sometimes it's like with me, like, it's just still playing the game like you normally do, because it genuinely helps you relax, so like I said, it helps me relax. So and none of these are wrong. So I guess the main thing that I wanted to say is that if life gets busy, or just you're stressed out, or if things are just not going well, for a while, it's perfectly fine to step back if you feel you need to. And like, the game's still going to be here. Your progress isn't going to be erased just because you left for a while. And taking care of yourself, and the people around you, like in life, in your real life, that's always going to be more important than trying to, like, perfectly keep up in like a mobile game or any kind of game, for that matter. And if raid helps you relax or connect with people, or gives you something you enjoy, like during those kinds of times, well, that's fine too. Sometimes games help, sometimes stepping away helps. The important part is understanding like which one of those that you specifically actually need. Just don't like lose yourself trying to keep up with everything all the time, because at the end of the day, the game is supposed to be part of your life, not your entire life. So just always keep that in mind, and just do what you feel you need to do, and take care of you first. And I hope that something that I've said in here, can help somebody out there that may have stumbled across this video and is maybe going through, some kind of stressful thing. And that said, I hope you have a great day / night. And I'll see you next time. Bye.